Right, morning everyone. This video is for you to go through and for me to explain to you what we are looking at for the rest of Unit 5. So if you remember, Unit 5 is working to a brief and it was all going to be about the faculty show and setting up your different stations and bits and pieces for that. So you can imagine, due to the current climate, we've had to rearrange it, but we've rearranged it in kind of real life terms. I'm going to send you the document I'm going to go through now, and it's got links to a couple of other documents on there to help to go through. So this will be, I'll make it part of the description of the video, but it will be on your emails as well, where you would have picked up this link potentially as well. All right, so we are, hopefully you can see that, zoom in a bit. Well, that'll do. All right, we are setting you this brief, and it is very similar to what you were going to do before. We've tried to keep it as obvious and as linked into what you're doing and what you have been doing as best we can, so that it's kind of not too much of a stretch for you in our current situation. So the brief that you are being set, let's go through it. CGX is the biggest gaming convention on Winkeltire Lane, and each year it aims to showcase the talents and gaming credentials of the current crop of Year 13 students. This year is no different, and we were planning to showcase the work of the students that we have done throughout over years, but we have been faced with an unprecedented global event that has meant we must diversify in our delivery this year. Due to COVID-19 outbreak, we must now plan to move the showcase to a digital presence rather than a physical one. You must develop a plan, an outline, that's not spelled right, sorry, of how you could complete this brief, and then develop a plan of how you could implement a different looking CGX convention. All right, so there's your assignment. Very similar to what we were going to do, a little bit of a twist because of our current situation, but I've tried to keep it as realistic as possible. All right, so you're going to be asked to do two lots of things. Assignment 2 comes in three parts actually, but parts kind of B and C are linked together fairly intrinsically. Part A is slightly different. Okay, so you need to develop two initial ideas of how you could promote the 10 different groups across the two classes of student work that have been developing your game ideas from September 2019. In a digital format this time, so that it can be viewed online, and you need to come up with how that is going to be possible, how that might look, and different ways that you could look at that. So essentially the first thing that you're doing is looking at an initial idea, but we want you to come up with two different ideas that you could be. All right, so it could be something that is kind of done live, essentially either on something like Twitch or YouTube, along those lines. It could be something that's recorded, so they are similar ideas but they are different, and they could be implemented in different ways, and we want you to come up with a brief synopsis of how those different ideas could be done. All right, so your overriding theme is that you are promoting the work of the Year 13, your work, your game work, if it was completed, and if we'd had a chance to finish it, on a digital format. So instead of being in a physical room, how would that look like if we were presenting it on the web in a digital format? Okay, so two different ideas. So some ideas that you need to make sure that some points that you need to make sure that you're covering in your ideas. What is your viewing platform? Is it going to be YouTube? Is it going to be Twitch? Is it going to be something else? Is it going to be delivered through a website? Is it going to be stuff that could be emailed out? Is it going to be a package of stuff that could be bundled together? How is it going to work? What is the platform that you are going to deliver that to the general populace to be able to watch? Okay, so that's one of the things that you need to think about. The collation of student work, how are you going to showcase that? And with this, think about different file formats, different ways that people might access things, different constrictions that people might have. So you can't just have full 4K video of everyone's work, because some people won't be able to access that. So make sure that you're considering your audience and thinking about the different ways that people can access and view the work that you might be doing. Think about how we export stuff, how we build stuff from Unity and render stuff through from Blender. What are the formats that you're going to be looking at? The promotion of the event. two areas to look at and to consider. One is highlighting the event before the date, so your promotional work and how you might sell the idea, how you might push the idea, and you can think of social media, you can think of physical stuff that could be sent through the post, whatever it might be. And then secondly, in terms of promotion, the corporate identity. Right, what does the look of it going to be like on the evening itself? Are you going to have a color scheme? Are you going to think about a logo design? Are you going to think about ways of keeping everyone in a similar theme, so that when we're showing work from different groups, there's a consistency to what people are showing? Anything and everything along those lines. Okay, and then just a really basic budget at the moment. We don't need anything kind of grand or detailed, but if you imagine you're working with a virtual budget of about £100, what would you spend that on? Okay, how would you divvy that up, and how would you separate that out on the different things that we've just gone through? All right, so two ideas that need to be written up in a professional manner, so word processed, nice and well designed, clean cut, titles and whatever, nothing too crazy, and your ideas should be a minimum of 300 words for each idea, so 600 words in total. You can do the maths, but for each idea. Okay, so try and keep your ideas as distinct as possible. All right, think of two different ones so that you can show that you've considered different areas as you go through. All right, so the deadline for that is the end of the weekend. Okay, it's not long, but it's not a big task that you need to do, and you should have been thinking about this whole process as a group anyway. So there should be ideas bouncing around, either from stuff that you've discussed before we broke up, or any ideas that you've had since. You've done that first assignment, or you should have done that first assignment that Chris has delivered to you already. So hopefully you've got some ideas that you can just pull together, 300 words, follow those points, go back over what I've just said, and you should be absolutely laughing. So yes, it's a short period of time. I know it's only a few days, but you've got the time. You're not going anywhere. So make sure, please, that that's uploaded. The link is on the document, as you can see, before the end of play on Sunday, and that way we can have a little look at what you've been doing. All right. So that's part A. That's what you need to focus on at the moment. I'm quickly going to go through part B now, and C actually, so that you've got an idea of where this is leading to. Okay, so two initial ideas, 300 words each, that you're putting together. Okay, that leads into assignment 2, part B. All right, so once you've got your two ideas, you're going to choose one of them. All right, so two initial responses, and then you're going to choose one of those responses that you're going to focus on and develop a plan and then a response to what you've been working through. Okay, and there are 4 main areas. Sorry, I had to do a quick count there. 4 main areas of where we want you to focus on. Okay, so target audience. So you'll need to do a write-up on your target audience, and I've left you some pointers there. Who's your primary audience? Who's your secondary audience? What are you going to do to ensure you focus on these different groups in your planning? What distinct differences may you need to consider for both target audience groups? So think about who you are pitching your ideas to, who you are doing the work for. So if you think about the evening itself, you might have friends and family, you might have kind of the executive team from the college, you might have university tutors coming in to have a look at what you've done and how you've done it. You might have prospective parents that are coming on to the course that you're on at the moment, that are coming in and seeing what their child might do in the next couple of years, similar to what you've done. All right, so you've got a few different groups that you could pull on and focus on. So choose one primary audience that you're going to really kind of focus in on, and then one secondary audience that will run alongside that. Okay, resources and materials needed. So this depends on what your idea is. Okay, so it might be that you need lots of resources and materials that you're developing, and we are putting the plan together. So we won't actually do this, but we are putting the plan together. So what do you need to create different things? What do you need to pull together in terms of resources? Think about other people that you might be in contact with. You can still do stuff as a team potentially. You just need to do it in a different way. You need to do it remotely. You need to think about how that could work. Think about if you've been in any video calls or conference calls or anything like that recently with friends, family, how that could work, how that could develop a different idea. Production considerations. what are you going to need to host the event in terms of how are you going to deliver that? Is it going to be live? Is it going to be videoed beforehand? How are you going to show off to different groups where you've got 10 groups to focus on? If you just keep that number in mind, it doesn't matter kind of what they've got, because you are deciding that. You are deciding what they're going to showcase. So it could be that they're showcasing kind of 1 or 2 levels of their game. It could be that they're showcasing a PowerPoint that goes with it to show the development of how they've put everything together. All right, so what are you going to need and how are you going to showcase it on the night itself? So the production of the evening itself, what considerations do you need to go through? And market research, what have other people done? What are other people doing? And it doesn't necessarily mean gaming platforms. One area that you need to go and have a look at is EGX Rezzed. Have a look on YouTube. They had to cancel Rezzed, which was due to be last Friday. So they had to cancel that because of the current situation. But they've delivered a number of their talks and a number of their conferences online already. So they've done a digital version of it over last weekend. So go and have a look, see what they did, see how they presented stuff, see how they put bits together and gather some ideas from there. But also think about other media outlets. Think about, you can have a look at some of the American chat shows that have done different formats of their programs from home and bits and pieces. And so you might be able to gather some ideas along those lines. All right. So have a little bit think of where you can get some ideas from. Look at the positive kind of outworkings of that and how that's worked, and look at the negative ones. All right. If it doesn't work, if it didn't work for you, if it didn't work for you, if you don't think it would work for your primary audience, then why not? How could you make that different? How could you do that and improve on that? All right. You've got a couple of templates to go through. The first one being for your write-ups. So link is there. It's a viewable link, so you'll need to download the document or just do a copy, and it will look like this. All right. So you've got initially the response to your brief. So write up your chosen idea, put down in detail, and you can see that no less than 250 words. Hopefully you can work out what that is. All right, so as long as it's about that length, then you're kind of in the right place. So you can leave that in while you're writing up and then just check as you go through. But your response to your brief, and then you need to go through and the 4 different areas that I've just talked about, make sure that you are writing up your version of it and how you are going to respond to it. Okay, so how are you going to look at your target audience, resources and materials, production considerations, and your market research? All of those sections no less than 150 words. Of course, you can go over and you can include links and you can include resources that you might want to drop into there. That's not a problem at all. That top one, your response needs to be no less than 250 words. Okay, so just keep those word count in mind as you're going through. All right, so that's part B. Part C is very similar, but it's a slightly more visual way of doing it. Okay. What I want you to do is put together a PowerPoint showing your idea and showcasing those different areas that you've done. Okay, 5-slide minimum PowerPoint presentation detailing your final ideas, and this way you can use some more visuals. So if you've got some visuals that you put together in that first document, you can expand on that and use them in the PowerPoint and in the slideshow to show us and give us an idea of what you think it might look like or how it could look like. And it could be digital files that you've mocked up in terms of the promotional stuff, the logos, the designs, maybe kind of how it could look and how it could be presented, whatever you think. Right, but trying to pitch your idea as best you can. Now, we're not asking you or we're not requiring you to do the pitch itself. Okay, if you are able to and you are able to deliver the pitch and show us the idea alongside your PowerPoint, or just do a video of yourself going through the PowerPoint and send us that separately so that we can see them in tandem, then that would obviously be preferable. We'd love to see what your ideas are and your response to it so that you can go through. But if you're not set up to do that, then we kind of understand that, and the PowerPoint will be okay. With that in mind, you've got a link to the PowerPoint. It's very, very simple. So just the title slide initially, an introduction to your response, maybe not quite as long as the one that you've done in this document, But a bullet point version of that, remember when we do in presentations that the presentations are there to add to you as the presenter. They're not there to take the place. So remember all of the rules that we put into place for presentations. You don't need to just copy and paste what you've done. You need to think about how this document, the presentation document, is different to this one. All right, they're not the same. So think about how you can use more visuals, how you can use more headline copy rather than just rinse and repeat what you've done before. Similar categories, so your target audience, resource materials, production considerations, and your market research. And I've left another one on there. What else is important to your idea? Okay, so what's your unique selling point? What is your USP? What makes your idea different to maybe everyone else's? Okay, so you could think about how you could add that in. You might cover that in some of the other slides, so you may not need a separate slide for that, and I understand that that's not an issue, but it's there as a reminder. Okay, so you've got the presentation to put together. So 2 documents for part B. Part B and Part C, I labelled it up differently. Okay, so you've got this write-up that you need to do of the 4 different areas and your response to the brief, which was your chosen idea from Part A, and then the PowerPoint that supports that in a slightly more visual manner that goes alongside and runs in tandem with it. Okay, all right. On this document that you'll see, if you keep scrolling, you'll see that you've got assignment 3. That's the evaluation. Ignore that. I'll do a separate video just to go through that. It's there so that you can read through it, but you don't need to worry about it at the moment. All right, so to summarize, that is your brief. All right, so that's what we're asking you to do. That's what we're asking you to focus on. And that's what you're going to respond to and put together your ideas for. Assignment 2, Part A. So the first thing that you need to do, 2 ideas. 2 initial ideas that you are going to put together, making sure you keep these considerations in mind as you go through of how you are going to respond to the brief. Okay, once you've done that, you can start looking at assignment 2 part B and C, which is going into more detail of your target audience, your resources and materials, your production considerations, and your market research. Okay, you've got templates there to put together, and you've got reminders of the submission points and the dates on there. Okay, so sorry, I didn't tell you the submission date for that. Thursday the 30th of April. That's 2 Thursdays after the Easter break. So officially, this is going out on Thursday the 2nd of April. Officially on the 3rd of April we break for Easter. So you've got the Easter break. And then it's not the first Thursday that we're expecting submission for that, it's the Thursday after, so that you've got a little bit of time kind of outside of the Easter break. If you are working on this over Easter because you are needing something to do and you want to focus on that, then that's absolutely fine. You can email us any questions that you've got about it. We may not respond quite as quickly, but we will still kind of be about and be able to answer any questions as best we can. All right. So, hopefully you've got the idea. When I stop the video, you'll see that there's a reminder of the deadlines on there for you as well. I'll include this link in the description, and it will be in the email that will go out to highlight this video as well. If you've got any questions, then don't suffer in silence. Please let us know, and we can go through it. We can have a look. We can answer what you're worried about, and make sure that you're focusing on it. Okay. Other than that, I'll do a little kind of catch-up email tomorrow, just so that you know what you're focusing on and what you're looking at. Hope you're all well. If for whatever reason you're not, or you're looking after people that aren't well, then please let us know, and then we can just factor that into when we're chasing for work and when we're chasing for deadlines and things like that. Equally, anyone that might have work that they know they need to update, please update it as soon as you can, and if you can email us, Chris and myself, email both of us at the same time when you've done that, then it just means that we can keep on top of things as well. As soon as we know any more in terms of how your final grades are going to go in and how we're going to assess that and how that's going to look, we will let you know. We still haven't heard anything from the exam boards or the government yet, and college as well. So as soon as we know, we will let you know. Okay, so hope you're all well. Like I say, any questions, then let us know. Deadlines are going to be on the next screen so that you're reminded, and you've got everything you need. All right, all the best. See you later.